why do you think few teams were interested in you coming out of JUCO, given the fact you had your body work from high school, you got the offer to go to University of Nevada, you tore it up, once you solidified yourself as the starter over in JUCO. Like, why? Like, do you think there were only two teams that were like, hey, we want you?
I think it's I don't know. I always judge scouts so hard. Now I'm like, scouts are soft. But it's like, um, if you're putting your life on the line, like it is your life. You're when you evaluate a player and you're bringing a player in, like even colleges, they have a certain territory and they put their name on this kid and then he's a bust. It's like that's a reflection of you and which is ultimately going to affect you and your family. So I think it's easy for guys to find all the tangibles. Like he looks the part, he's big, he's fast. You can't say like then if that guy's a bust, it's like, well, he had everything. I don't know where we didn't develop him or something. It's not you. We brought in the talent. And I was never that guy. Like if you look at me on tape, I'm not that fast. I'm not gonna have a hose. You'd have to watch me over a consistent amount of time to be like, man, this guy is consistently like winning games, dropping dimes, and just doing well. But like if you just looked at me, I was probably 6'1", maybe six, and 210 pounds, like not big or fast. So someone's got to really know their stuff, I think, at the position to put their neck out. And I don't know, maybe like maybe in today's day, like if I was going through high school and college, it would have been a little bit easier because I'd have also more access, right? Like I was sending out DVDs in junior college too. So um, I don't know. I don't know. It's something I always kind of question and like judge scouts and just people who are recruiting players in general. Like, how do you go about it? Because I do think it is hard to find guys from high school to college because I was 195 skinny, and then after like 2 years I was 215. So it's hard to kind of see what guys are going to turn into sometimes.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the frustrating part. I had former Kansas quarterback Todd Reesing on the podcast, and the dude was a legend in college. And when it came to the pros, no, it was like, David, it was awesome just to talk to him about, like, here you are, like, you're Texas State Player of the Year your junior year. You have very few colleges interested in you. Then you go to Kansas because head coach Mark Mangino, like, I asked him, like, what do you think he saw in you that the other schools didn't? And he said I had the X factor. I had the it. And like, I got chills hearing that because I think it takes a very special coach, almost like Peter Goodson with you, to be able to get over, like, well, what's your hand size, how tall you are, what's your weight, and to be able to see through the facade and be like, that dude's got something. I don't, but it's hard though. It's kind of ambiguous. Like, if you're a scout, you're saying that guy has something, but I don't know exactly what that something is. I don't know. Like, and so to me, that's kind of a hard sell, but I was just blown away by chatting with Todd about this. Cause I'm like, dude, you had the body of work, all this stuff, and then they're saying you're too short. Your arm is weak. And it was just interesting to hear his perspective from that, being away from the game now for as long as he has.
It's hard. It's hard. It is hard to evaluate. It's like easy for me and probably even Todd to say like, yeah, what the hell's wrong with these coaches and like evaluating, like look at us, like look at what we've done. But like if you don't have if you don't have the experience that me or Todd have and understand that it takes more than being 6'5" and a hose of an arm to do it, like it's hard for you to put your neck out there. And especially if you're not going to be the guy working and developing this person. I think like if it's a head coach that's putting his neck out there, he knows he's going to give you the time and the reps and allow you to develop and have that it factor carry over on the field. Even for me with San Jose State, John DeFilippo, he knew like I could throw the ball and spin the ball, and he'd worked with enough quarterbacks to understand that it takes more than being a giant, like a huge human, and just all the other tangibles. Like he understood that, and had worked with other people, and knew he was going to be working with me directly. So I think he had confidence in himself as well. To like, he's like, I know you have enough of what I need to do what we need. So it was easy for him to put his neck out. But even he left when I got to San Jose. Like within the first month, I got there, he went to the Raiders, and then I wasn't named the starter at San Jose until week 1 of Stanford. And I just found out like a couple of years ago that they were still kind of like not sure if I was the guy. They just, I think I had done enough up to that point for them to give me a chance to see, but like I didn't really, they weren't sold on me until after Stanford, um, which is pretty funny. But I at that point I had been through so many things that I didn't care. You know, like it didn't matter. I was just kind of in the moment, enjoying it. Like if I wasn't the starter, I was going to be at San Jose, and if I was, like, sweet, let's do it. Um, is yeah, I think my experience, my time at junior college, and had really helped me like not worry about stuff I couldn't worry about. So I was like, I was in a really good spot.
Yeah, it's almost like a blessing in disguise having that whole like rigmarole of a journey to get to that point. Because once you get in there, it's like in your mind, you're probably like nothing can phase me now. Like you can say this, you can do this. I'm here. I'm going to show you what I can do, because you had already been through so much, athletically to that point. And I think you alluded to it before you left the NFL. Like you said, like that was a period of time where you really had to go within and be super introspective at a super young age. How many people do you think at that young of an age are doing that? Probably not that many.
Yeah, I think that's like, I mean, what the beauty of sports, like the things you learn, the skills you develop it, through sports is like awesome. It's all transferable to life. Like, and you when I played football till I was 30, so you don't really realize it as much until you're out of it, and then, but being out of it last 2 years, I'm like, man, I'm so grateful for my time, the good and bad, because everything I learned is transferable into this next chapter of my life. The hard part, I think, for me is figuring out what avenues I really want to dive into that I'm passionate about enough, as much as I was about football, um, which I think is a lot of guys, because up to this point, like football was really was it. Um, and I yeah, and there that's another show we could probably dive into.
How do you kind of figure out that next pathway? You've dedicated yourself to something for so long where it consumes you, your mind, body, and soul. So I'm just curious, like that ends, you have millions of different avenues you can take. It's almost like, do you find like another Peter Goodson except in the outside of football to help you? Like how does this all happen?
Yeah, and that kind of like ties into, we were talking about that LinkedIn post that I put out. Like, it's it takes time. I think like with sports and football, fortunately for guys who played as long as they have, like it was a very clear path. Like for me, I had a dream of playing football when I was young. And then you're able to kind of see like, all right, it goes high school, it goes college, it goes NFL. You see like the level to get to. And it's whether that's a pipe dream or not, like you know where you're going. And like I think for me and in life, it's like you kind of get to create whatever you want. Like there is you kind of create the levels. It's all determined on what you want. Like, I mean, obviously, there's you can get into this corporate world, and there's ladders to achieve, and ranks you can move up. But like, ultimately, I'm realizing like I don't want to be in the same spot I was, because I think I was so attached to my success as a football player and my identity as a football player that once it was gone, and once I achieved that dream, and you realize like, okay, well, now what? Like I reached the NFL. I didn't really dream past that. I don't want to really set myself up for that in this next chapter of my life, and like get so attached to what I do. Um, so and it just takes time, I think. Like, and connecting with other guys that have gone through the same thing have helped me, because I think for me when I first got out, it was a lot of new feelings, a lot of new emotions. I had just done something for my entire life up to this point, and then now I'm like, all right, I'm not an NFL quarterback anymore. I don't. What am I working out for? Like, what are my days going to look like now? You don't realize how structured my years, my quarters, my months, my weeks, my days have been. Like, I realized this was like I had never been home for that long at one time. There's so many things that I realized, and like hearing other guys' stories too. Every athlete I think goes through this to some extent. And once you realize that and hear other people are thinking the same thing, it's like, okay, for me, as competitive as I am, I'm like, okay, if I'm not the only one and someone has done this, I got a chance. Like, and there's a lot of people that go through this. So it's just reaching out, connect with other people. Yeah. And then kind of spending time with yourself, listen to yourself, get exposure. I started networking a bunch, just reaching out to other people and seeing like what gets the juices flowing, like what do I really want to do. And I'm still kind of in that phase a little bit, but just learning to listen to yourself. I think for us, like just athletes, you found the love pretty early, and it's like, all right, I like this, and there's so many things that go into that, why you like it, the camaraderie, the community, the competitiveness, the attention you get from this, and evaluating why you like some of that stuff. Because like the NFL, it's not normal, and you'll never have anything like that, and that's okay. Like because you shouldn't. That shit isn't normal. Like being in going into a thousand an arena with thousands of people, that adrenaline, like there isn't many things like that. And being attached to that, I don't think is very healthy either. It's like it's okay to want that. I think like sometimes I think about like going and like speaking in front of a group of people. Like that would be pretty cool. And you probably get some similar juices flowing, but I'm not worried about anybody ripping my face off, like which I which I miss. I miss that. But the cool thing is I can always tap into that. I tell like talking to other athletes, it's the same thing. They miss like suiting out, getting walking out into the stadium, just like feeling that energy and vibe, and like going into a hostile environment. Um, and it's easy to kind of look back on that and be sad and depressed. But I was golfing with somebody who he was a little bit older, had a lot more wisdom, and he's like, "Man, look at that! Like you can tap into that whenever you want. Like nobody will ever be able to feel what you just felt right now by remembering that." I'm like, "Damn, that's pretty cool." Like so we have some pretty cool experiences with that, and just like being able to lean on that and leverage it is huge. But networking, connecting with other people, trying to figure out what gets the juices flowing is huge.